Today marks the start of the second half of the ARCA Menards Series season. It's the Viscom 200 at Michigan International Speedway. Round 6 of the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge and the first race of the CGS Imaging 4 Crown. And a gorgeous day it is in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Plenty of lakes around this area for plenty of family fun. And today we'll have fun with the ARCA Menards Series. Hello, everybody. I am Bob Dillner. Alongside of me in the booth is Jim Trado. Dave Reef will join us on pit road here today. But, Jim, we are focused on one interesting thing that is developing over the course of the last few weeks. A two-horse battle for the championship. Just points separate the top two in the standings.
Coming off a short track, they finished within one position of each other. Here at Michigan, we've got another story to tell. We've already raced at Kansas Speedway, a big mile-and-a-half racetrack. Now here at Michigan, we really get to square off because last year's race winner, Michael Self. The Kansas winner this season, Brett Holmes. This race could decide who has the edge in the championship going into the second half of the season. It's going to be great here today at Michigan.
And Jim, as we mentioned, this kicks off the 4 Crown battle, a race within the series for another championship. It starts off on the Super Speedway. It'll go to a dirt track of DuQuoin. And then, of course, plenty of other racing as well to basically profile all the different 4 styles of racetracks within the ARCA Menards Series.
And that really brings out the diversity and really the training ground for drivers that are racing in the NASCAR Cup Series. The first time I saw Ryan Blaney race here at Michigan, I was blown away. His first laps at this racetrack were in an ARCA Menards Series car. Earlier this week, Bob Dillner caught up with Ryan Blaney.
You mentioned those starts that you had with the ARCA Menards Series. What did that do for you as a driver to prepare you for the upper levels of NASCAR?
Learning bigger racetracks, learning 1.5 mile, 2 mile tracks. It taught me so much running the ARCA Series on those. You were able to go to a couple road courses for the first time that the Xfinity guys run, like Elkhart Lake and things like that. So that really taught me a lot. So that was a huge stepping stone in going from short track late models to, running big tracks and really getting an idea early on of how you need to run those just because they're massively different.
Hey, you have the Darlington throwback race for the NASCAR Cup Series coming up in just a few weeks. I'm always intrigued by the different paint schemes that the drivers utilize for that race. And I know you have a very interesting one to pay tribute to Paul Menard and the ARCA paint scheme that he had years ago. It's a very bright car, too, I can tell you that.
Paul Menard's 2003 ARCA scheme, one of the first years he ran. He won Talladega in that car, and I know he ran it for a little bit, when he got into the other series. So I thought it was really neat. I called Paul up, the other week and asked him if it was okay if we ran that scheme for the throwback week, and he was, all on board. So, I think it's neat to, recognize Paul for what all he did in NASCAR, what, the Menard family has done for many years, not only in NASCAR, but in motorsports in general. So very cool to be able to run an old Paul Menard scheme, and hopefully we can get in victory lane.
And Blaney was very fast when he started an ARCA Menards Series event here at Michigan. This track located in Brooklyn, Michigan, about an hour from Detroit, 2 miles in length. To say that this place is fast, Jim, would be an understatement.
Fastest track the NASCAR Cup Series will go to all year. We're going to be hauling the mail into turn 1. Notice how long that front stretch is. It's bowed. That means these corners, these high banks, creates a whole lot of speed on this D-shaped oval.
Big banking in the corners, 18 degrees. Heck, there is 12 degrees of banking on the start-finish line today at Michigan International Speedway. Just moments away from getting this 100-lap race. All the cars are lined up on pit road. The drivers are buckled in, and that means it's time for the command. So, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines at Michigan. The engines have fired. Teams checking their racers to make sure they're buckled in. They're ready to go for competition today for 100 laps for the ARCA Menards Series. Will a driver like Ryan Repko get his first career ARCA Menards Series event? It could happen here today. There's the defending winner here at Michigan, Michael Self, the point leader coming into this race. It's time for ARCA Menards Series racing at Michigan International Speedway. The cars now pacing this 2-mile race course here in Michigan. Riley Herbst will be in the number 18 today, but the General Tire Pole Award goes to Riley Herbst. No qualifying here today. They did have a practice session, but Riley Herbst will be on the General Tire pole.
Owner points deciding our lineup today between Riley and Ty Gibbs. This number 18 team has 3 wins and 9 top 10s on the season. Most points thus far, and that's why he gets the number 1 coveted position.
Starting on the outside of Riley Herbst on that front row is Ryan Repko for Venturini Motorsports. Then you see the point leader, Michael Self, the defending winner of this race. He'll line up third with Brett Holmes, who's second in the point standings alongside of him.
And I love the idea that the DGR Crosley teammates get to play together. Anthony Alfredo returns to this series in the DGR Ford number 17 along with his teammates. They're learning. Haley Deegan and Thad Moffitt here in the row number 4.
Armani Williams in row number 5. Mike Basham, longtime competitor to like not only him, but his dad as well. Morgan Baird and Tim Richmond, who had a top 10 run at Toledo just last week.
Scott Melton's had some really strong runs on the mile-and-a-half racetracks. That car is fresh from an accident. They're ready to go for Kimmel Racing in row number 7.
Chris Wright will be in the GMS car today. Jason Kitzmiller in the 97. And Con Nicolopoulos will round out the field today for 100 laps at Michigan. Haley Deegan will carry one of our onboard cameras here today. She sits 4th in the series standings. She will carry the Bounty camera, one of the Rookie of the Year competitors in the ARCA Menards Series. The other one is Drew Dollar. He too will carry one of the onboard cameras for us today. The General Tire camera. Good look at Drew Dollar. Win at Talladega for him just a few weeks ago.
And it's amazing to see at this point in the season how close that Bounty Rookie Challenge points is. Drew Dollar and Haley Deegan starting inside the rows, one in front of the other here in the starting field. They seem to run a lot together on the racetrack. We'll see how that plays out. We may see some teamwork between Venturini and DGR Crosley making a difference here this afternoon.
There'll be 2 race breaks today, at lap 30 and around lap 60 as well. But Dave Reeve, I want to know from a team perspective, how does that change the complexion of the race and how these drivers tackle this 100 laps?
Oh, it changes it dramatically. In years past, there were different pit strategies, fuel strategies you could use here at Michigan International Speedway to capitalize and maybe find victory lane. But that's not going to be the case this year because of those race breaks that we talked about. So I talked to a lot of the crew chiefs up and down pit wall here, and basically it's going to be go hard for 30, go hard for another 30, hopefully get your car right for the final 40. And that's going to be the key word. Mark McFarland told me whoever's car is balanced will have the most success early. From that point forward, the rest of the crew chiefs will be scrambling to find that balance before we have that final 40-lap shootout coming up in a little bit.
Dave, with the speeds these drivers are running around Michigan, balance is certainly a key. But there are several other keys to this race today. So, Jim Trado, what are they?
Well, I really believe the entry to turn number 1 sets the entire lap up. If you widen that out, and Ryan Blaney, when he was here for that very first time in an ARCA Menards Series car, proved that if you go as far as you can and turn left at the last possible moment into the corner, that entry carries the speed and gains the speed through turns 1 and 2. I also believe it'll come down to the experience. The drivers that have experience in the air on mile-and-a-half and 2-mile ovals, Brett Holmes and Michael Self, both have over a dozen starts on tracks this size. That's going to be a key factor. With these younger drivers, not enough experience in the air. And I also believe on restarts, if you're on the inside, if you hold them high, you might have a better chance of holding your position off the exit of turn 2 on restarts.
Brett Holmes, red hot as of late in ARCA competition, comes into this race 2nd in the point standings. He will start on the outside of that 2nd row in the 23. Last year, he was the CGS Imaging 4-crown champion.
And that really said a lot because that season was struggling for Brett. He'd finished 7th, 8th, 6th, 5th. That consistency helped build the program that is now 7 points away from tying the point leader after 10 events. And I think Brett's poised. He's ready. He's got the same car he raced at Kansas to a dominant win just a couple of weeks ago. So Confidence is at the all-time high for Brett Holmes and his team that's really been formed with his father and Brett doing a lot of their work over years, but Shane Huffman really has put this together for them the last year and a half or so.
Before we go green, let's go back to Dave.
Well, Bob, each one of these teams had about 30 minutes or the equivalent of 6 to 7 laps of practice to go out and get their cars set up to try to find that balance we were talking about. Up and down pit road, most of the teams were a little bit too tight, so crew chiefs trying to free them up. They say, Jim Trado, you want to have a little bit of a free feeling here at Michigan if you want to go fast. We'll find out who made the right adjustments shortly.
And the width of this track, Dave, is also something to point out. It's not a single lane groove. It's not a 2-lane track. You can actually move around, and you'll see them going all the way up into that darker area of the racetrack. That's where some traction compounds have been put down. The NASCAR Cup Series raced here last night. The night prior, the Truck Series was here. So there's been a lot of laps, but not at General Tires. And, Bob, we're about ready to get the green flag for this one.
Nice slow pace. Riley Herbst chooses the outside groove to lead the field to the green flag. Big race, big track for the ARCA Menards Series. We're green flag at Michigan. Riley Herbst in the monster number 18 leads the first lap, but already Brett Holmes on the charge going to the inside of Ryan Repko to take over second.
The dark black area of the racetrack gives you a little bit of a perception difference. It looked like Riley Herbst might have already been dirt tracking on the opening lap. Well, he has a dirt track racer and Brett Holmes behind him. Brett was able to take a 3-lap run on the initial start and hang on to that position in third. Now he's up to second in that white 23.
Drew Dollar trying to take over fourth from Michael Self. Self went to victory lane here when Ty Majeski ran out of fuel on the final lap of racing. Drew Dollar leads the Bounty Rookie Challenge at this point in the season.
Brand new sponsor, Sunbelt Rentals, has signed on for the rest of the year, so those team cars look more similar than ever. But now it's Drew Dollar's turn to try to learn a few things here. As Michael Self, I would imagine at this point, I would think Michael Self would want to be the car you'd want to follow, but not the case for this young driver making his first start at Michigan. Drew Dollar of Atlanta now passing his teammate Ryan Repko on the inside.
Dollar charging hard, and sometimes track position is critical. Look at this great view from the General Tire onboard camera of Dollar on the inside of Ryan Repko. Battle for the lead. Brett Holmes charging hard, almost makes contact with Riley Herbst coming off of turn 4.
Held him as high as he could there, but he knew he had to get in line to the bottom on the front stretch. Still not done yet into turn number 1.
Sometimes if you keep the momentum on the outside like Riley Herbst is trying to do, a little bit of a wiggle there, but see that momentum he gets? Sometimes when you get to the bottom side in a battle for position, the guy on the outside, if he can keep it wound up, can keep that momentum and keep the spot.
And helping these young drivers along, we've got a NASCAR Cup Series spotter for Riley Herbst, Chris Osborne. We also have a Cup spotter, Derek Nealon, for Brett Holmes. On this type of racetrack, when you see the cars get closer to each other or move down or up the racetrack, that's the aid of the spotter saying, get that air sucked off the side of that other car. Make them loose. Make them give up the spot. And Holmes gets the lead here by doing just that.
Brett Holmes to the lead at Michigan, just 4 laps in to this 100-lap race. Drew Dollar starting to close the gap between he and Riley Herbst, who's now just about 3-4 car lengths in front of him. That'll be a battle for second in just a minute.
We've only had a 30-minute practice session today, and this series is fortunate to get any practice time based upon the current schedules we have, including this weekend in Michigan. The only series with practice, this one, a 30-minute session. Brett Holmes was the fastest car, but only was able to register 5 laps in that session. But that little morning warm-up proves to 4 that Brett Holmes has the speed he rolled off the trailer with.
And all the teams appreciated the fact that they did get that small practice session just to make sure everything that they worked in the shop was prepared for battle here today. And they have quite the interesting schedule here over the course of the next little bit. These teams going 3 different weeks with 3 different styles of racetrack. So a lot of work for all the crews and team members here for the ARCA Menards Series. Michael Self in the 25, the Sinclair machine. He rides 5th. Repco is in 4th. Haley Deegan in the number 4 machine is 6th.
Surprising here that Riley Herbst is giving up positions now. The car's not handling just the way he wants it. Riley loves to lead races. When he won at Pocono 3 years ago now, he led 48 laps. He was gone, by far and away gone. See you later. This season he's led over 50 laps, but when he gets in the lead, that's a different mindset Riley has. Now he's kind of chasing the setup here early on. He sat on the pole due to owner's points, but now he's drifting back just a little bit here, outside looking in, if you will, losing some ground, and Drew Dollar now the next car to make a run at him.
Drew Dollar was on the inside of Riley Herbst, but that outside momentum was key for the 18 to keep that spot. That win for Riley Herbst a couple of years ago at Pocono. He ran 2 full-time seasons with the ARCA Menards series and learned a lot that has helped him run the Xfinity series and the trucks in the past 2 years.
And Riley raced at Road America in Wisconsin yesterday on the road course in the Xfinity series. He's a full-timer there. Made the trek over here to Michigan this morning, so it's good to see that Riley's getting a lot of seat time in different disciplines. But he has really used the ARCA Menards series, and these big tracks, he has to run them because Ty Gibbs isn't old enough, number 1. But it helps Riley a lot. He finished top 10 at Kansas Speedway in the Xfinity series this season. I think in large part because of how he ran in the ARCA race.
Haley Deegan charging hard to the inside of Michael Self. She slides up just a little bit, loses that momentum. Michael Self still able to keep the spot for now, but side by side for 5th early in this Michigan race. The Bounty Rookie Spotlight squarely on the number 4 driver of Haley Deegan out of California. She's got those 2 top 5 runs, 1 at Daytona, 1 at Lucas Oil Raceway. But as of late, she hasn't been as consistent as this team had hoped for. Haley Deegan really wants to grab that first victory.
She's had a chance on 2 different occasions to head into the Ford Performance Simulator to see what this track felt like on that simulation. This is a whole different ballgame. It's the first time Haley's been here on the track. We see self-distancing here by 10 car lengths just in 1 lap. So what she learned, getting close behind Michael, her car got upset enough there in the air to lose that little distance.
And aero plays a big role in this racetrack with these big speeds and wide sweeping racetrack. And honestly, when Haley got to the inside to some degree, that aero definitely disturbed her race car, and that's why she slid back. But now starting to try to close the gap on the 25 again.
And this is where Michael Holmes wants to be. Michael Self, wants to be. He's running in a position now. He's comfortable. He knows he can run top 5. And it's really a matter of building that data. He and his crew chief, Kevin Reed, have spent the entire season molding that friendship. They've worked together in the past, but this is the kind of track that Michael's looked forward to all season. Didn't have the results at Kansas or Kentucky. Wanted a better run there. They've been really working hard at the shop to get this car to perform, and right now he's in a good spot.
If you can win here at Michigan in the ARCA Menards series, you put that on the resume, and that definitely means something. Brett Holmes leading this one. Can he pick up his first victory? Brandon Jones, a 2-time winner here at Michigan International. Sheldon Creed just a couple of years ago. And then in 2019, it was Michael Self, the winner at Michigan. And that Venturini Motorsports team celebrated in victory lane. We'll be right back.
The ARCA Menards Series is brought to you by General Tire, anywhere is possible. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And by Menards, save big money at Menards.
Holmes in that 23, a 2-second lead for him. 14 laps into this 100-lap race at Michigan International Speedway. Riley Herbst and Drew Dollar are your top 3. The 23 of Brett Holmes charging early in this one, started on the outside of that second row. But let's show you how he took the lead from Riley Herbst in the Auto Park It replay.
Got to the bottom, got to Riley's rear tail just prior to what we're seeing here. But when he went down the backstretch, he had that run off of turn number 2, was able to make it work to the bottom. Riley's been kind of fighting it on the outside. Brett took advantage. Brett didn't run on the outside line, but knew where he had to pass was on the bottom of Riley Herbst. Made it work successfully here. And that's how you make a pass here at Michigan. It takes a long time on this big 2-mile oval, but he made it work, and Riley had nothing to counter back with at that moment in the race.
Brett Holmes has been nothing short of sensational as of late, Dave Reeve.
That is fact, Bob Dillner. 5 straight top 5s, including that Kansas win. This is the Kansas car that was also the quickest in practice. That actually found Brett Holmes going to Twitter and saying, hey guys, we got a bad piece once again. Look out. There's even been some scanner traffic between the teams, laughing and joking about if it's going to be this easy, guys, we might have to give everybody a little pay cut. That's how good this race car is running right now.
I'm sure they're joking, for sure, but the 23 is dominant so far here today. And honestly, the closest driver, in the point standings to him, Michael Self, who leads the series standings, he runs 5th right now. We'll keep an eye on that. But Brett Holmes, Dave mentioned his 5 consecutive top 5 finishes. Among those top 5 finishes in the last 5 races was his first career win coming at Kansas just a few short weeks ago.
And how he did it was impressive. It was under the lights at Kansas Speedway. We got rolling. Points again decided where we started and where it finished. Well, it finished with the taillights of Brett Holmes getting smaller by the competition, not being able to see him. He had such a big win of a run at the end.
And Shane Huffman, his crew chief, said a picture is one that tells a story. And you can see Brett Holmes a little bit emotional after that victory. He said he was so welled up with emotion that he finally got it, because there had been a knock on Brett Holmes for a while that he had not gone to victory lane in 3 or 4 ARCA seasons. Well, now he's one of the hottest drivers on the circuit.
And that was also a moment that Brett realized how many people believed in him and how much they thought he had what it took. He didn't know he had what it took until he crossed that finish line a couple weeks back at Kansas and had that checkered flag in hand.
Shane Huffman, the crew chief right there on the front of your screen. Shane, a winning racer in his own right. He won a bunch of Pro Cup races back in the day, and now transitioning with his career to the lead wrench, the crew chief. He's been involved in ARCA over the course of the last couple of years. Riley Herbst, though, in the Joe Gibbs racing car. This team has been shared by 2 different drivers this year, Riley Herbst and Ty Gibbs.
And Riley's been in the last 3 races here at Michigan to keep up the owner's points and really to keep in the hunt for the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge. They relied upon Riley, and then Ty got a chance to race some big tracks this year and won a couple at Kentucky and Pocono. So they are really running strong. And Riley proving the fact that Mark McFarland has this team going in the right direction. And oh, by the way, the racing season should end around October 16th at Kansas. Ty Gibbs is going to turn 18 years of age on October 4th, so he's looking forward to his first crack at a beautiful big track like this one in Kansas. He'll finally be old enough to race it, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, these drivers, young ones, looking good in the ARCA Menards series. Another young one, Drew Dollar. He rides in 3rd. He is 3 seconds behind Riley Herbst at this stage of the game. But he's a newcomer here to Michigan, so it's going to take a while for him to understand what he needs to do around this 2-mile race course.
And without the experience he has, okay, he won at Talladega, which is a great racetrack and a huge win for him to have that early in the season to get to figure this racetrack out. There are no cars around him. He's got to figure out where that speed is. He also has to figure out how to better communicate. As he told me, it's building the notebook with his crew chief, Shannon Rush. But right now, he's kind of on his own, finding where he is, wanting to know the difference in speeds between he and the leaders so they can make those adjustments when we hit our first race break.
13th ARCA start for Drew Dollar comes today at Michigan International Speedway. 21 laps into this one. It's Brett Holmes, just simply domination in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Things heating up for the ARCA Menards series in Brooklyn, Michigan. The number 17, Anthony Alfredo, the 3rd driver in this 17 for DGR Crossley Racing this year. Anthony has run both in the Truck Series as well as the Xfinity Series. And behind him, Chris Wright, making another start in the ARCA Menards series. Normally on the short tracks, that car driven by Sam Mayer, who won twice last week at Toledo.
Chris has a bunch of road racing experience, jumped in a car and ran at Utah Motorsports Campus with Jefferson Pitts Racing a couple of weeks ago. That was his first stock car experience, but on a road course, familiar to him. He ran 1 super late race, and now guess what? He's in the number 21. Marty Lindley is his crew chief with GMS Racing. Chris Wright is an accomplished road racer, and he's trying to learn. He had no expectation about learning here, but look at this. He's not going to wait too long to learn from Anthony Alfredo here in the battle for 7th. Good job by that driver at the number 21. That team is really well run by Marty Lindley calling the shots, but Chris Wright does not have the experience at this racetrack, so it's great to see him and Keith Barnwell really working together as driver and spotter to get him in position to make this pass.
If you look at this battle for 7th, it's all about momentum. Wright just learned something there that he's not going to come in contact with on a road course, and that is that momentum. He got to the inside of Alfredo, but then had nothing after that, kind of stalled out just a little bit. And you talk about Chris Wright on a road course. I mean, looking up his stats coming into this race, second in the 24 Hours of Daytona in his class.
And the LMP2.
That is impressive.
LMP2 cars fly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, he's got 2 ISMA prototype wins as well. Alfredo, by the way, the 17, his nickname, we love it, Fast Pasta.
Yeah, Fast Pasta. Look forward to coming back home to DGR Krause. He ran 13 truck races for this team last year. Likes what they have going on and jumped at the chance to race in this race. Tanner Gray and Taylor Gray, the brothers, have been racing this car, and look at this. Now Anthony's giving a little lesson to Chris Wright out the front windshield of Wright. We see that he's side drafting off the 12 there.
Closing in on our first race break, let's take a look at the Geico Race 411. 100 laps is the length, but these 2 race breaks will be very important, Jim, around lap 30, which we're coming up on here in just about a lap and a half, and lap 60.
Easily within the fuel windows. It's a matter of getting 4 fresh General tires. It really is 2 sprint races to set up to what you can do at the end of lap 30 of the first 2 race runs, because you've got a 40-lap run to the duration. And I don't think we're going to go cleaning green all day today. What we've seen here at Michigan, Alfredo was in position last year running top 10 and got crashed out in the final restart and did not finish.
Hey, you're an encyclopedia of ARCA Menards Series knowledge. This is the 39th race for this series at this racetrack. You've been here even as a PA announcer for several years. Who won that first race? Do you remember?
I don't have that information in front of me, Bob. I was so focused on this year's races. But what's neat to see, we've had huge speeds, and a lot of famous people have raced here at Michigan International Speedway. Paul Menard has won here. I like the fact that we get to see all kinds of drivers come through, and to get this experience, it's prime time for these racers in the ARCA Menard Series as they make their way up or finish their careers here.
2 races back in 1980. Joe Ruttman, how about that for a blast from the past, and Billy Harvey won both of those races.
Ruttman was the stud of the USAC stock car ranks around that same time as well. Yeah, great to see Joe doing that well. He was the brother of Troy Ruttman, a 1952 Indy 500 winner. So that family and that history, it's threaded through this ARCA Menard Series throughout. No doubt, Joe Ruttman, one of the all-time greats. Glad to see that he made the stat book here, Bob, and those wins certainly weren't easy. Those were old, big, heavy race cars that they raced around here, old Cup cars at the time.
Brett Holmes' advantage over second place is now sitting just about 4 seconds. Ryan Repko, though, as the caution comes out for the first race break in this 100-lap race. We'll have 2 of them here today. You see the yellow is out. Those teams will come down pit road. We'll be able to change tires, add fuel, and make some chassis adjustments as well. So the teams are prepared for changes to these race cars. A lot more coming up here today in Michigan. Under caution for the first race break in the Michigan ARCA 200 for the ARCA Menards Series. Brett Holmes, the leader. Riley Herbst, second. Drew Dollar is third. Teams able to come down to pit road, change tires, put in some fuel, as well as make some chassis adjustments.
Throw a spring at it if you want, Bob. As soon as the last car, we just get the signal here. The teams are jumping over the wall. Once the last car has stopped on pit road, the stopwatch of 5 minutes starts for these teams to make these changes.
The ARCA Menards Series is always very good for young racers. Short tracks, road courses, and super speedways. This is round 6 of the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge. And there you see the 2 big winners, Drew Dollar and Michael Self on the big speedways. Pocono winner, Ty Gibbs. He got his first super speedway win there and then went on to Kentucky and grabbed the checkered flag there. And then Kansas, we mentioned Brett Holmes. Can he go 2 for 2 in the last 2 races on the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge?
Since that flex, we've seen a lot of teams go to work on these race cars for this speedway and Kansas, which should be our finale coming up mid-October. No one's been able to hang with this number 23 team just yet here today after he took that lead from this guy, Riley Herbst.
Riley Herbst might have to make a few changes. You see some changes to the tape on the front grille for that race car. The fuel going in right now. If I were Brett Holmes and Shane Huffman, I wouldn't change that 23 at all. That thing is moving today here at Michigan International Speedway. At the tail end of the first race break in this 200-mile race in Brooklyn, Michigan today for the ARCA Menards Series, Brett Holmes the leader, dominating the first portion of this race. Let's get a report from Dave Reeve on what went on with these teams in the top three.
Well, let's start with that third place performer, Drew Dollar. We didn't say his name a lot. There was a team kind of searching for that sweet spot on the racetrack, but in talking with Shannon Rush, they said they went ahead and made air pressure adjustments to both tires on the right side as well as the left rear. They're looking for about a 10th out of that race car. They feel like Drew Dollar could come to the front. Meanwhile, for Mark McFarland, you saw the piece of tape go on the grill. That's just one of a few minor adjustments. Actually, not too disappointed in that race car. Again, we are just 30 laps into this 100-lap race. They have made a couple of changes to free that car up a little bit, not finding the balance that we talked about at the beginning. Meanwhile, for that 23 team, Brett Holmes, boy, I tell you what, you have not seen so many smiles. The only thing that they talked about and the only change that they made, Brett said it's a little hot inside of here, so they got him a little bit of a fan to keep him cool because he's got one hot race car right now.
Oh, it's a little bit warm, but not too bad. Brett Holmes, though, red hot. And take a look at how he has closed in on Michael Self in the championship standings. Just 7 markers between first and second.
What we also see, Bob, is that Drew Dollar is still in the hunt. Those are rookies in third and fourth. They've never been to this racetrack. They know how important it is to finish well and gap those points. They were tied just a few races ago. Drew Dollar just has a 4-point overall edge on Hailie Deegan. Those are the points that the Cat tabulate for Rookie of the Year, so that's a really tight battle there as we look at the overall points here.
Thad Moffitt, 5th in the series standings right now. Thad Moffitt is 9th in this race.
He got the lucky dog. Got the wave around, if you will, so he'll rejoin the lead lap cars. Hanley went away on Thad's car. I thought for sure he wanted to hang with Anthony Alfredo and learn in his first time here to this 2-mile oval.
You mentioned it at the top of the show. Right now, it's Michael Self versus Brett Holmes for the championship in the ARCA Menards series. Both of these drivers with 1 victory apiece. Daytona for Michael Self, Kansas for Brett Holmes. They've had up and down seasons as well, but they've almost always found each other on the racetrack, battling in the middle of a race.
And when you look at the numbers, 7 top 5 finishes in 10 races, pretty good season. Both of them have 7 top 5s, but the difference really comes down to this. Michael Self and Brett Holmes have the same number of starts on tracks this size, 1.5 to 2 mile. Michael has the edge on top 10 finishes and has led more races than Brett, but Brett's always right there. Michael's been able to finish off the deal on these big tracks.
I think you can throw that graphic out of the way with how Brett Holmes is performing today, because whatever Shane Huffman and Brett Holmes and that team has found on this style of racetrack, it has certainly paid off in the last 2 races.
So we reset them. We got their changes going on. Nobody loses a position. Brett Holmes, the pole sitter on this restart, has lane choice as the restart leader, not pole, and he's chosen on the outside. These rookies are going to go to learn something here on this restart. It's a critical deal. I've seen cars crash here on the front stretch on restarts just because getting through the gears, getting the right spacing, getting the right jump. There's a restart line in ARCA, not a restart zone. So once they hit that line, the leader has to hit the line. They don't necessarily have to lead at the start-finish line as long as everyone stays in line, which we've seen cause issues here at Michigan because it's so tempting to drop out of line at the start of the restart.
Hailie Deegan, 4th in the series point standings, will start on the outside of the point leader, Michael Self. Deegan running in 6th, and she was doing pretty well early on, and then ran up to that 25 car, just could not get by him.
And the thing about Hailie is she said, I learned something every time I'm on the racetrack. And for that simulation time she had, working through that, now feeling the air when she got right behind Brett Holmes, when she got next to other cars, she's really learning a lot this season. She's not in any hurry, she said. I'm not in any hurry to advance my career. I need to learn with a full point season here on tracks like Michigan, like Kansas, where we're going to wrap the season up. That'll help her progress, no question.
Hailie Deegan in the Monster Energy number 4 on the outside of the 3rd row. Brett Holmes, no sponsor on the side of that race car right now. He gets a great start here. Ryan Repko, we're on board with Hailie Deegan with the bounty camera.
At Kansas, Hailie was involved in a restart accordion effect that cost her a little bit of body damage. There was a stack up on a restart. She was clean there. She almost got in the back end of the number 20 Repko and just tapped the brakes there, which cost her this track time now down the backstretch.
She goes to the bottom. I was wondering which way she was going to go. She tries to follow that 25. Battle for the lead. Here comes Riley Herbst. Herbst to the inside of Brett Holmes going into turn number 3.
Herbst held him high on the restart in turns 1 and 2, able to draw even once again. But look at that exit. Holmes way up on the top, has a slight edge now.
3 victories for that 18 team this year. All have been for Ty Gibbs. Riley Herbst wants one of his own, and right now he's trying to get to the top of the heap here at Michigan. He pokes his nose out front of the 23 of Brett Holmes, but Holmes just so strong on the outside.
Great view, but also listen, Drew Dollar had to burp the gas in the middle of turn 1 and 2. They're nearly flat out around here, so you heard him tap the gas a little bit. It actually upset the car slightly, so that's another learning process for Drew Dollar, sitting behind this great battle for the lead in third.
You hear that sound coming down the backstretch by that camera? Just love that sound. Reminds me of my childhood, watching some ARCA races, some cup races, and really falling in love with this sport. There's the 21 of Wright, right in front of Haley Deegan. So Wright picks up a spot and moves ahead of the rookie.
Chris Wright in his very first ARCA Menards Series race on a big oval here, hanging top in the number 21 with GMS Racing. He'll actually race next week for the NASCAR Truck Series for GMS Racing at Daytona on the road course. So this is an indoctrination that's coming very quickly for him on a national level.
Wright very successful at Daytona. Haley Deegan next weekend. It'll be her first attempt.
She got to race the IMSA 4-hour Michelin Pilot Challenge in February as a teammate to Chase Briscoe. So that should help her at Daytona on the road course.
And a little change to that Daytona road course as well, with a little bootleg basically coming off the final corner. So now 3.61 miles in length, and we'll be there with MAV TV next week, live at Daytona International Speedway for the first time with the ARCA Menards Series on the road course of Daytona. That's going to be very special.
Coming to you live right here on MAV TV, 5 p.m. Eastern this Friday. The first race on the Daytona road course is going to be here live on live on MAV TV. We're going to go full speed next Friday night.
Looking forward to it. 5 p.m. Eastern start. Daytona, nobody knows what to expect. Listen, Michael Self, we know he is a good road course racer. That might be one that he's got stored in his memory bank of where he can maybe separate himself and Brett Holmes a little bit.
And we'll see some more competition come to fore. We've seen the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge drivers. Now the Sioux Chief Showdown. Well, guess what? That Showdown race point total counts next week. Ty Gibbs, Sam Mayer, Riley Herbst all racing the Trans Am TA2 race yesterday at Road America. So we'll see how those young drivers adapt to road course racing with that experience from yesterday.
And they've been testing a lot around the Southeast on the road courses to prepare for next Friday's battle at Daytona. Right now, plenty of battles going around this racetrack. Brett Holmes, though, still the leader at Michigan. Closing in on the halfway mark in the Michigan ARCA 200 today for the ARCA Menards Series. Anthony Alfredo in that 17 has just cracked the top 5, and it's because of his pass on the 20 of Ryan Repko. Let's take a look at it on the Auto Park It replay.
So Repko comes out the corner in the middle of the racetrack, and look at this. On the bottom, eating him up is the Fast Pasta. That's his nickname, Fast Pasta, eating up Repko on the outside. To the bottom goes Anthony Alfredo. Again, he has a Truck Series start here. This team finished 3rd last year in Tanner Gray. That's a lot of notes and data to help Anthony Alfredo get comfortable and make that pass on the inside down the front stretch.
2nd through 4th, very close on the racetrack as well. We've been keeping an eye on this. Riley Herbst right up there, right on the fringe of the light gray and the dark gray around the upper part of this racetrack. Behind him, with the General Tire onboard camera, is Drew Dollar. He rides in 3rd, and just behind Drew Dollar is the point leader, Michael Sell. So 2nd through 4th, very close at this stage of the game.
And look at how these cars are battling. They're still trying to find the line. And I love the idea they can race together. We don't have to wait for a position. We don't have to wait for a whole lap and a half to try to set up for a pass. We see Drew Dollar finding a different line and closing still on Riley Herbst with this aero package they have. I love the idea that these cars were actually modeled. These 5-star composite bodies were modeled after the Gen 6 Cup car. Very few changes since, and they have a pretty stringent rule on the bodies and what you can and can't do. So I love the fact we can race on these big tracks and stay this close this late in the race.
A little bit of a gap now between 3rd and 4th, Dollar and Self. Let's get an update on the defending winner of this race with Dave Reef.
Kevin Reed was just heard on the scanner giving Michael Self some encouragement. The changes that they made, which included changing out the right rear rubber as well as making some air pressure adjustments to free him up. They say they are definitely going in the right direction. So he kept encouraging his driver by saying, keep it up because we are back in this ball game. So watch for changes on the 25 team. Major changes, though, coming for the 46 of Thad Moffitt, a car that continues to go backwards. In fact, is in danger of going a lap down. Talk to that team and their crew chief. There is already a rear spring that is getting ready to be changed on that car. That car just way too tight for Thad Moffitt to be quick.
To give you some perspective, the 46 of Thad Moffitt is about a half a track behind Brett Holmes, the leader. And Thad's coming off 3 consecutive top 10 finishes. Has been very strong at times, a couple of top 5 finishes this year as well. So he is continuing to learn. He's raced here at Michigan before, but Thad Moffitt, the grandson of Richard Petty, learning the big track today at Michigan.
Yeah, he raced at Charlotte last year, but this year, unfortunately, on the big track's not a lot of time. Kentucky Speedway, he said, I just overdrove it, 2-line sensitive, I hit the wall. That was my bad. But they also had a tire go down at Phoenix. Now, they also had an engine issue on lap 2 at Pocono. So gathering that data, this team has really kind of had to battle through those nitpicky things that have kept him in the hauler rather than on the racetrack to learn here in the ARCA Menards Series.
He had a good run last week on the latter half of the doubleheader at Toledo, but like you mentioned, that trouble early on, right at the opening lap of that Toledo race, and that has hurt him in the point standings, even though he currently sits 5th.
Trying to chase down this driver, Hailie Deegan's 4th in points, 2nd in the overall rookie standings, and she's been racing with a lot of different cars here today, not staying with a team plan as I thought they may have worked out because Alfredo's experience and Hailie being her first time here. Just 2 starts at Kansas Speedway, 1 last fall and 1 last month for Hailie on a track this size. Doing a decent job here.
Hey, Dave, what can you tell us about Hailie Deegan?
Well, I can tell you that her trademark smile is back on her face. Unfortunately, we didn't get to have the second half of that Toledo doubleheader, but after 6 laps, when the rains finally fell on Saturday, causing us to cancel our race on MAV TV, I saw her going back to the pits, and she did not look happy. In fact, she said she went back, she got sick, some food poisoning, did feel a little bit better on Sunday, but that trademark smile that she has is back underneath the helmet of the 4 today.
6th place run on the second day of competition at Toledo last weekend. Hailie Deegan currently 7th in this race. She's carrying the Bounty onboard camera for us, and we've been watching her try to tackle Michigan for the first time. This is a difficult place to learn because it takes a lot of finesse. Let's listen to Hailie around this racetrack. I don't think she was ever fully off the throttle pedal. Just a little breather right there, but still on it. Incredible.
We got to give her credit. Her younger brother Hayden won 6 Loretta Lynn classes. She went down to Tennessee to watch him. Great job by the Deegan family, still with it.
The Deegan family, impressive list of racers in that family.
The ARCA Menards Series is brought to you by
Auto Park It. The future of parking is here. See it at autoparkit.com.
Richmond Water Heaters, the water heater experts. Hers, forever good. And by Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing, drainage, supply, and support products.
Second caution of the day out for Chris Wright in the 21. Hit the wall in the corner here at this 2-mile super speedway. It's the Viscom 200 at Michigan International Speedway. Round 6 of the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge. And here's what happened. Hailie Deegan in the 4 had just gotten by the 21.
Yeah, he actually woed up in front of her, and she had to make a move to get around him just a half a lap prior to this. So perhaps something was going awry. Again, this is his first big oval track experience. If he had a tire going down, that's a whole different experience. The way he entered the corner and the way the car swapped, something had to go mechanically wrong for him to get that out of shape that early in the corner.
That was a big hit as well for Chris Wright, and fortunately we see him okay and climb into the back of the ambulance to get evaluated here today at Michigan International Speedway. Bad break because honestly this team battling in the owner's points as well within the ARCA Menards series.
Yeah, this team is really going to try to fight it out. I don't think they're running a full season. And unfortunately for this team, they didn't run every race to this point in the year. So they, by owner's points, had to start well back in the field. So that made Wright even look at that challenge perhaps even before he got on the racetrack. They were running in 7th at the time when they lost the handle on the car. Ryan Repko here in the number 20, Bob. This team won the Owners' Championship last year. He's the 3rd different driver in the seat in this number 20 this season. Corey Heim raced this car once. Chandler Smith's won twice in this car. They sit 2nd in the Owners' points. And Ryan Repko started up towards the front of this race on the front row and now has kind of settled back into 7th. Haley Deegan got by him, and he's not really been able to make his way forward as they thought they would after that first stage break adjustment.
And for Ryan Repko, this is his last scheduled start of the season for Venturini Motorsports. Now, that might change as the schedules have continually throughout this season. But Ryan Repko, good kid, winner on the Cars Tour Late Model Stock Car Wars over the past couple of years. Now trying to figure out the Stock Car Wars. He had difficulty at Toledo in an ARCA East race. But then he was so good at 2 different racetracks, finished runner-up on 2 different occasions.
And the confidence he has, I mean, he finished 2nd at Kansas. So coming in this one, like, I think we're going to do really good. And here he comes down pit road with the number 48 of Brad Smith in his home state race. So Repko's certainly not satisfied with what that car felt like, not waiting for another opportunity. Pits are open. He's coming to pit road.
We're about 5 laps shy of what we expected for the second race break in this race.
Race breaks are the only time you can change tires or add fuel, so the team's looking things over here. They are not able to throw new tires at it until there's an actual race break.
While Ryan Repko is on pit road making a significant change to the handling on that race car, here is the Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap. Riley Herbst in the 18 looked good early, but then here comes the 23 of Brett Holmes.
Holmes had a really good move on the inside, gapped the field a little bit, and really set the tone. Didn't do a lot of changes on the car during the first race break and has been able to pull out a lead once again here at Michigan International Speedway. The only time we'll get to see this racetrack all year, and it's not too far from ARCA headquarters, who's been around for 58 years now. So it's cool to see that home track, Toledo Speedway and now Michigan, being highlighted on this series schedule.
Holmes has led since lap number 4, so nobody has threatened him whatsoever. We'll have another restart coming up, and that has been the best chance for Riley Herbst, Drew Dollar, Michael Self to go after that 23.
200 miles, 100 laps. We're 55 laps into this one. Fastest lap of the race, yep, Brett Holmes. And you know what? I think he's going to lead a few more laps here. But we'll have a chance at or around lap 60. We're going to have a chance for a race break. It's one more time for these teams to come to pit road, change those tires, change the handling of their race cars. We've seen spring changes during these race breaks. That's the rule in place since the race pandemic break we had. We ran in Phoenix. We had a controlled pit stop environment there. We've changed that now to limit to 4 members over the wall. You can change tires and fuel on the same race break, but you cannot do it at the same time to help for safety. So you have to change tires first, then add fuel. Those kind of safety parameters are put in place. It's also money savings because you don't have to have that high-speed team over the wall to get these cars back on the racetrack.
You know, sometimes to be successful in racing, you have to persevere. And a driver that has certainly done that today is Thad Moffitt. We heard Dave Reef talk about him just a short time ago. Well, Thad Moffitt, this 46, they're still struggling with that race car a little bit, but he has stayed on the lead lap, and he's currently scored in 7th.
He just needs a good run. He needs a good finish because he's working really hard. He's spending a ton of time at the shop. The Smith brothers are working really well together. We've got Chris Lawson in that shop. David Gillen's working his guts out. To have Derek Smith and Seth Smith put as much effort into this program and have Thad Moffitt find funding now for hopefully a full season schedule with the Richard Petty Performance Motor Oil as one of his main sponsors this year. It's pretty cool to see how Thad's been able to adjust, but he needs to get laps in. He needs to finish this race strong to build on the momentum that started at Daytona with that 5th place finish.
I bet you he can't wait for Daytona next week, the road course for the ARCA Menards Series. First time on the road course at Daytona. I know we're looking forward to it live on MAV TV.
It's going to be awesome this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern live. It's the first race on the Daytona road course for stock cars. Great lineage and history going back to the Daytona Continental race back in the 1950s. That history, of course, led into the Rolex 24 that happens every January. But we're going road course racing with the ARCA Menards Series here this Friday.
Who will make history today at Michigan? Brett Holmes wants his 2nd victory of the season. We're just short of the next race break, and the green flag is back out at Michigan. Riley Herbst, some contact with the 23 here.
Holmes wanted to hold him high, literally went up the racetrack to say, I'm on the inside, I'm going to hold you high into turn one, and Riley came down and gave him a bang, wheel to wheel, front tires. Knocked in the fender a bit on that white 23.
Picking up speed, best shot Riley Herbst has had. Look at him trying to move the air on the 23 going down the back straightaway.
Here comes fast Pasta on the outside. Anthony Alfredo rockets up from 5th to the outside into 3rd in the number 17.
Oh, the 23 of Holmes slides high. Riley Herbst, will he get back to the lead? Not yet. Brett Holmes still leads here in Brooklyn.
Whoever can clear here off of turn number 2 is going to set the pace here, I think, for a few laps, because the way they're running, they can't stay this way for long. We'll see if Holmes can do it from the inside. He restarted the first time on the outside, chose the inside this time, and Herbst was able to pinch him down and pinch off that run. Give the advantage to Herbst now down the backstretch.
The kid from Alabama is not giving up whatsoever. Wow, that was like John Force down the backstretch. Brett Holmes back to the lead.
Love it. Hammer down and just turn left and keep that pedal all the way through the floorboard.
There is Alfredo in the 17. Michael Self trying to pick off a spot here.
One thing Anthony Alfredo has learned in his restarts, he said, I can't believe how aggressive the Xfinity Series are in restarts. He's now run 10 races for Richard Childress Racing this year. That proved before there as he went outside and went to get as many spots as he could. Now Michael Self's been able to get by him, but it's been a few laps. So Alfredo really kind of teaching others what he's learned in other series on the national level. Trucks last year and now part-time Xfinity this year.
Drew Dollar going to school, watching Anthony Alfredo and Michael Self right in front of him. Self able to take that spot. He has our General Tire onboard camera today, and Drew Dollar has just been one of those guys. He's never really a high-profile guy, charging hard, but he's right there consistently. Reminds me a little bit of like a Matt Kenseth type back in the day. Drew Dollar, very consistent this year.
And that's what Brett Holmes' handle had been the last couple of years in the ARCA Menards Series. Drew Dollar in those big Speedway races this year. Worst finish is 7th at Kansas. He won at Talladega. He's also got a top 5 run at Kentucky Speedway. So you're right, he's right in the mix when it comes to these big tracks, and it's proving out it's a great learning season in his rookie run for the Bounty Rookie Challenge title.
Second race break now. Yellow flag. All the drivers see the yellow lights come on around the racetrack, so these teams will be able to come back down pit road. Brett Holmes probably doesn't want to change much. It looked like Riley Herbst was just a little bit better after the changes they made on that race car after the first race break, but others behind them still, those two head and shoulders above the rest of the field.
Brett Holmes at Kansas Speedway, I think, did 1.5 pounds of air pressure adjustment for the last time on pit road. Ended up pulling away from the field. Brett Holmes has made himself aware that Riley Herbst won't let him go away easy. Herbst came down and banged that right front fender on that last restart. We'll see if Holmes can just think about that for a minute. Maybe just be a mental reminder. And here we go. Herbst is putting that mind in again, saying, I'm right here. I'm going to be here the rest of the time, pal. You're not going to break away and lead the rest of these if I have something to say about it.
It was pretty interesting watching them battle for the lead just prior to this race break. Both of them wanting to get to the front and maybe send a message to the driver that fell back to second. Brett Holmes, your leader. Riley Herbst still there in second, but Brett Holmes has been so strong this year. A streak of 5 consecutive top 5 finishes and that big win at Kansas. Here we go. The question is, Brett Holmes, can he shine today here at Michigan?
ARCA Menards Series, live August 14th on MAV TV.
On MAV TV, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the first time for the ARCA Menards Series on the road course of Daytona International Speedway.
I've been to the last 8 Rolex 24s at Daytona. I get to introduce the drivers on Track PA, but I get to watch these races. And these expert drivers from around the globe can descend onto the World Center of Racing. ARCA Menards Series opens up that whole new chapter. From the beach to now racing a road course and stock cars. The Cup cars will be there next weekend as well, but we kick things off Friday at 5 right here on MAV TV.
I'm sure it'll be awfully hot at Daytona next week in the month of August. Dave Reef is on pit road.
And we saw how good Riley Herbst could be. Actually pressured Brett Holmes there during that restart. And right now, in the conversation leading up to this pit stop, and a conversation with Mark McFarland, Mark talked about some of the changes they could make to maybe make this car better here or faster there. He actually offered up, should we give it a little half a turn of wedge in this thing to give it a little bit more speed? Dramatic pause on the radio. Then Riley hit his mic and says, I don't want to finish second again. So expect that change.
He's been very close. He's been very close. Third in points. He's run second a bunch of races. And this racetrack last year, he was strong. He was strong at Pocono last year, leading the race until green flag stops late in the going. Ty Majeski, racing for Chad Bryant Racing, had a quicker time on pit road. That got Ty the win, and Riley finished second that day.
Let's think about this for Riley Herbst. In the past couple of years, since he won at Pocono, he had, 4, 5 second place finishes, 4 of them in ARCA, 1 of them in the Xfinity Series earlier this year out in Fontana, California. He's got a couple of third place runs in a mixture of series as well. So he's tired of finishing in second, like he said.
The experience he has here at Michigan, experience on these size tracks has come to play. He's run a bunch. He's got more starts on tracks this size. And I can tell you, the taste is there. He told me at Kansas, I just want to win. I'm here for the trophy. I don't want to be waiting around for an opportunity. He knows he has a great drive with Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series. That's a top-notch operation. Racing for a full schedule this year for the first time for him on the national level since racing for and winning Rookie of the Year in the ARCA Menards Series a few years back.
We just saw a shot of Haley Deegan. She is 7th on the second and final race break. Could we go caution-free the rest of the way? Everybody is probably looking at this next restart as probably one of the most crucial points in this race.
Haley, again, in that rookie battle, we're going to keep comparing Haley Deegan and Drew Dollar. Drew Dollar has been settling into third. Haley's back in 7th. She'll need to do something on this start. And what'd you know, Brett Holmes and Michael Self, 1st and 4th now on the racetrack as we kind of chart their progress for the rest of this season.
Brett Holmes and his dad, Stacy, they travel together. They hang out together. He has meant so much to Brett Holmes' career, and now Stacy standing by with Dave.
You know, through all of the hubbub, we talked to Brett Holmes and we talked to Shannon. We know how big that win was in Kansas, but we have yet to hear from you here on MAV TV. I can only imagine how emotional it was to you to finally see that success that your team's been fighting for.
Well, you know, it's just awesome. I tell you, getting the right people working for you, Shane Huffman, Chris, AJ, man, you know, Aaron, we just messed around and got a real good team with us. And me and Brett's worked a long, hard time, you know, to be at this level.
But to finally get that win, how cool.
Oh, man, it was awesome. It's kind of like one of them things that words you just can't figure out the right thing to say, you know, and we're wanting another one.
When I talked to him about this interview a moment ago, I saw it in his eyes. You can see it in his eyes now. It meant a lot. There's some emotion there, guys.
Thank you.
I mean, Brett and Stacy work together in the family business, and Brett said what we do on the racetrack takes us to their office for the entire week after. They've been smiling a lot since they've been running so well in that big win at Kansas.
And they've been like that, a pair for a long time, right down to the Five Flag Speedway Pro Late Model ranks years ago. Brett Holmes, can he pull it off again here today? Quite possibly the calm before the storm. We have under 40 to go in the Michigan ARCA 200. Brett Holmes in the 23 leads. Riley Herbst is second. Drew Dollar in third. Michael Self and Anthony Alfredo round out the top 5. Jason Kitzmiller in that 97, back on the lead lap and currently running in 9th.
That's his company on the side, ALL Construction. His brother-in-law to be is Cody Robaugh, who's run well. He's finished 8th here in an ARCA Menards Series race, now racing in the NASCAR Gander trucks. But Jason, for him, this is his first year driving stock cars. And I'm telling you, Bob, he's doing pretty well. He's raced all the big tracks. He's finished 10th at Kentucky, 8th at Talladega, and at Kansas Speedway, where we see, hey, how are you doing? It's his 5th, 6th time behind the wheel. He finished 11th there. So very consistent runs. Doug George is also with the team. Cody and Doug are together on the trucks. And one big component for Jason, he has Tim Fido as his spotter. A holdover from Cody Robaugh and developing those relationships with those veteran spotters. Tim Fido, a racer himself from here in Holt, Michigan, is the spotter for Kevin Harvick. So that's a huge help to Jason in getting around this racetrack and feeling what he should feel in that race car and being able to communicate to his team. Again, Doug George, a NASCAR champion in his own right in the West Series many years ago, has crew chiefed a lot of race wins in all 3 national series and now helping this 46-year-old get accustomed to big track racing in your ARCA Menards series.
Progressing in your racing career.
Yeah.
One big thing around that success is actually, you know, surrounding yourself with some pretty good people. And we got some pretty good people down there. And Dave Reef, let's go to you.
Well, obviously, when your ARCA debut ends up like it is here, we're not going to ask him about that. Certainly some disappointment. But, Chris, let's find some positives out of this. Just getting that experience with this team here at Michigan. We talked about how good Ryan Blaney was at the top of our show. What did it mean to you to get that experience today?
Yeah, so it was very eye-opening. I mean, practice I was trying to learn how to drive the car and drive the track. And then, you know, getting around cars in race was totally something different for me. You know, I could definitely feel the air. You know, all these guys are talking about it. I definitely felt it today. And then, you know, some stuff happened, you know, but it was a great day. I learned a lot. You know, I was having a good time. You know, I was pacing some good drivers and making my way up. So it was a good time.
The ARCA Menards series definitely provides a training ground in terms of the stock car wars before you get up to the upper levels of NASCAR.
Marty Lindley had a great piece for him, was racing really well, learning a lot today. We see Sam Mayer in that car next week at the road course at Daytona, so that number 21 will be a familiar car that we'll see a lot, I think, on Friday night here on MAV.
This should be interesting. The 18 and the 23 really duked it out prior to the final race break in this one. Who's going to take the top spot this restart? One of the most crucial here today at Michigan. On board with Drew Dollar, you hear him feathering that throttle. Riley Herbst to the lead.
Mission accomplished by Riley Herbst. He wanted the power down to the turn one and get ahead and in front of Brett Holmes. Holmes a little bit hesitant to come side draft on Riley on that restart, and that allowed Riley to get up there and muscle up to the top side and take the lead.
The Venturini Motorsports car going toe-to-toe. Drew Dollar and Michael Self. Dollar back to third. Brett Holmes trying to go inside out wherever that 18 car is not.
We hear the words clean air all the time. Well, Brett Holmes is a very fast car, and Riley Herbst knows it. If those changes are right for Riley and Mike McFarland, they've done magic together. They'll do magic again if all things hold and they're able to get a gap on Brett Holmes. As long as Holmes is pestering, he's also working the air around the 18. How close can I get to him? Can I get to his quarter panel to take a little bit of air off if he pulls even? It's a battle of Toyota versus Chevrolet as well. That Toyota team, a Joe Gibbs Racing affiliate. Coy Gibbs, the owner. That number 18 team is on the campus at Joe Gibbs Racing. Brett Holmes' shop is in Mooresville, North Carolina. They're affiliated with themselves. No one else in this operation in the 23.
Brett Holmes does not care if that's Joe Gibbs Racing, that independent runner. We just met his dad, Shane Huffman, his crew chief, and now he's trying to go back to the front. 66 laps into this one, and a little bit of a bobble there by Brett Holmes.
We haven't seen anyone get to the yellow line all day, and Brett Holmes nearly found the apron, which is mighty flat compared to the high banks in that corner. Had to back out of that one.
Trying to regain his composure. The bottom right side of your screen, Michael Self has moved by Drew Dollar for third. There's Anthony Alfredo now approaching the back end of the 15. Brett Holmes on the attack again. Man, he is just so good. He gets that momentum off the... And that one little move always costs the 23 of Brett Holmes a little bit of ground. And then he'll make it back up going down the straightaway, catching him in turn number one. But then down the backstretch, jockeying back and forth has been the 18. Behind that pair is the point leader, Michael Self, now up to third, last year's winner here at Michigan.
This has settled out a little bit, but Self is in a good position. He said, I like running top five. I know it's a good day when I finish top five, top six. That's the majority of his season. Worst finish of eighth, actually. But he's not satisfied with how good he's been able to run. He's not been able to contend with the 18 and Ty Gibbs on the short tracks, or the number 23, Brett Holmes, pretty much everywhere. He's like, man, we got to find more speed. And Venturini Motorsports has gone to the whip. They've gone every possible way to get more speed for Michael Self and his team, knowing these big tracks are where he shines. Winner at Daytona, winner here at Michigan last year. He's won at Kansas Speedway. He's ready and able to put together a championship run, but they haven't had the same speed consistently they're looking for. Drew Dollar doesn't know any better. This is his first full season after just a couple of tries last year in the ARCA Menards series. So he's really learning and going, and He can't have the feedback to give to Michael Self, perhaps that Michael Self and Christian Eckes fed off of each other last year when they ran 1-2 in the points as Venturini Motorsports teammates in ARCA.
Drew Dollar with that General Tire onboard camera does have a win in late model stock car ranks, heated late model stock car ranks around the South at South Boston Speedway, the home of the Bologna Burger.
And you know what? As many as you have eaten in one sitting the bologna burgers, I'm telling you, they're pretty good. If you have just one, it's really good. If you want to go for the record like you and your brother Matthew have done, that's more to you. You and Elliot Sadler can sit down anytime and eat bologna burgers. I'll just sit there and have my one.
Listen, I like pasta. So when I think of pasta, I think of Anthony Alfredo. Fast pasta, as you called him a little while ago. Anthony Alfredo now running 5th.
Making the most of every opportunity. He and DJ Crosby last year, as I documented, ran those 13 truck races. 9 of them were on big tracks, so he got comfortable. He likes what he has, but he also wants to give more track time and availability, knowing that Tanner Gray's schedule as a full-time truck competitor and Taylor Gray, being just 15 years of age, can't run all the races, so they open up this opportunity when the schedules align. Anthony said, hey man, I got some time off between my Xfinity Series starts. He's not doing a full schedule. This worked out good for him, and it's going to help drivers like Haley Deegan, his teammate. They've talked a lot in the shop this week. It's going to help her after this race learn and go forward with a faster race setup.
The Bounty onboard camera shows us Haley Deegan rides just outside of the top 5. Deegan being scored in 6th. Man, she is hungry to get back in the top 5. She is hungry to become the first female winner in ARCA Series history. Still trying to do that. She finished 2nd earlier this year at Daytona. Shauna Robinson, Aaron Crocker-Evernham, they've both done that as well. But she is a driver, the daughter of Brian Deegan, who we know how tenacious Brian Deegan is in going after victories. The same could be said for Haley Deegan.
Been 5 races since a top 5 finish. She's shown speed, but on these big tracks, again, it's brand new to her. She's here for that reason. She said, I want 2 more big track times. She's raced in the NASCAR K&N, now ARCA Pro Series, ARCA Menards Series West. It was the K&N Pro Series. She did that for a couple of seasons, ran some East races, and she said, I really want to run here and learn. I really want to get the ability to race on these big tracks. I want to be here every week racing professionally going forward in my career.
Kitzmiller in the 97, now up to 7th, the biggest mover of this race. He started 16th and now resides in that 7th spot. Not too shabby so far for Jason Kitzmiller.
Daytona was an eye-opener. I think since then he's had a cautious approach. He crashed out early in that one, didn't learn a lot. Cody Roba had a good piece prepared for him with Doug George, again, the crew chief on this team. Finished 32nd there with an engine issue. Not a crash, my correction, but learning that and being able to run stable run laps, and I'm looking at his, I'm watching his speeds. They're right there with everybody else. He might be a little bit slower, but they're consistent. He's not wavering on his lap times lap after lap.
Something you might need to watch is that 23 of Brett Holmes starting to get it wound up on the outside. He's looking good, Dave.
Yep, Team 23 beginning to devise a little plan about how they're going to pick off that 18. They know they run good coming off of turn 2 down the backstretch through 3 and 4. But the team just told him, it says, don't chase him down the backstretch. Just settle in right here. And then the focus for this team right now is in the entrance to turn 1. They say they got to give up a little bit to gain a lot. Get your car in a position to where you can come off of center exit and get that big run on the backstretch. Cool this thing down a little bit because we're going to make a run at the 18, and it's going to come here pretty quick.
Honestly, really good advice right there, because we saw he was really good upon an entrance and was able to get to the bottom but not get that run up off. So that advice right now has Brett Holmes thinking maybe something a little bit different on how to attack the 18.
He can close, and you know Riley Herbst is doing a lot of driving now to that rearview mirror. Really trying to make sure he's where Brett Holmes wants to be. And on the exit of the corner, he wants to be high. He wants to be in the middle of the corner, and Riley's done this lap after lap, trying to dip down to the bottom to break the draft of Brett Holmes. We're flying around this racetrack. This race is cooking, man. We're already at lap 76 of 100 in this 200-miler. And looks like Riley's got a better handling car on the bottom, and maybe Riley has to run the top right now. So answer there, Riley may have the faster car right now.
Riley Herbst trying to win for the first time in 3 years. He's trying to do that today at Michigan. $20 to go in the ARCA Menards Series event at Michigan International Speedway. The top 2 have looked like this over the course of the last 10 laps or so. Riley Herbst in the Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 leads, and just a couple of car lengths behind is that number 23 of Brett Holmes. By the way, that number 12 car there, you see, he's going a lap down. Armani Williams running in the 10th spot.
Just the first driver to say, you know what, I want to do this. Centria, the sponsor on that hood, works with people who have autism. That, yeah, I'm a 20-year-old race driver. I have autism. You can do anything you set your mind to, and Century has bought into that. He spent a ton of time working on sponsorship. He considers himself the first racer and racing in NASCAR levels with autism, and he's doing a great job today. Running in the 10th position. This team's performed, but I think Armani's given this team the best run they've had all year in his first drive for Andy Hillenberg, Dave.
And in talking with Armani, it's not a can't-do attitude, it's what he can do. That's what gets him fired up. He calls the race car his quiet place where he can go to and he can focus on having the ultimate amount of fun, which is what he's having. When he's not doing this, you know what the man likes to do? Cook. You were talking about bologna burgers a little bit. You guys can go have that all day long. He likes to cook up a little steak and potatoes. I think I'm going to go eat over at Armani's.
I'll join you. I'm a steak and potatoes guy as well. Jimbo knows that. Riley Herbst, what would he buy for dinner tonight if he's able to win this one here? We talked about it so many times. He's finished second over the course of the last couple of years. Mark McFarland, his crew chief. Mark has been the crew chief, victorious crew chief 3 times this year with Ty Gibbs. But he, too, wants to get Riley Herbst back to victory lane.
Yeah, they've got a 13-point advantage over any other team in the series. They've gained that many more points than anyone else. That's 13 positions over the course of a season to lead the owners' point standings. It's a big deal for Mark, and I know it's a big deal for the Herbst family. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, and Riley's the first one of his family not to go off-road racing at the Mint 400, the Baja 1000, up and down the peninsula. So this is a big challenge for them. They're like, Riley, if you want to do this, we're in, but we got to make sure we do it the right way, and they've done a lot of development with Riley, working under the Joe Gibbs umbrella since he left the NASCAR West Series a couple of years ago to really make an effort at this since 2017 in ARCA, and now full-time in the Xfinity Series.
By the way, Riley Herbst and Brett Holmes just went by Thad Moffitt. Moffitt now going a lap down. He is in 9th.
Jason Kitzmiller in the number 97. We get a look at him. We mentioned Ryan Repko, who started on the front row. That's the race for 7th. Kitzmiller got by him a few laps ago. So this is some good positioning here. Again, this is Kitzmiller learning as he goes. Repko knows he has to perform. Toyota Racing Development took a chance on him after winning that Dave Marcus throwback paint scheme last year, winning a race and getting noticed by Toyota Racing Development. Every moment is a challenge for him to get more races, and this is Repko's time to get back into that position number 6, and he does it here on the front stretch.
Repko back up to 7th by the 97 of Kitzmiller, who was charging hard but maybe just wore out his stuff a little bit. Repko getting better and better with each lap he turns around this big 2-mile speedway.
That again shows you why we're here. Why ARCA Menards Series is at Michigan. You can go run 10 fast laps by yourself, but now we're going to put you around other cars. We want to get that feeling. We heard Chris Wright, who crashed out. He said, man, I learned a ton today. There was a mistake that happened. He crashed out. He learned, but he said, I am learning so much of these tracks. That's why we love to see so many different kinds of tracks. That's why we're going to the Daytona Road Course. That's why we're going to the Mile Dirt at Point Fairgrounds this year. This series really does prepare drivers to know what the car feels like on longer races on tracks that race IndyCar and NASCAR series events on the same weekend.
We mentioned that super team. There's the 3 wins for the 18 this year, looking for their 4th, but it would be the first one for Riley Herbst if he's able to stay in the number 1 spot. Brett Holmes, though, our cameraman here at Michigan International Speedway, telling us that car came awfully close to the wall a couple of laps ago.
Back 1.011 seconds at the line this time. Not where Holmes wants to be right now.
Dave, what's going on with that 23?
Well, definitely not a position they want to be in, because when they're behind the 18, now that car suddenly is tight a little bit, and they're not being able to figure out a way to necessarily eat that gap up now. So the car tight behind the 18, in front of it, free run, but they're in trouble maybe right now, and they're starting to know it.
It would have to do with air, but it also could have to do with how hard Brett Holmes is trying to push that car. And we see it almost each and every corner upon exit. That car just getting higher and higher and higher. He doesn't want to put too much wheel into it. You put too much wheel into it, you might loop that thing.
And Brett's talked time and again about his experience in the ARCA Menards Series. 71 starts into his career. Winner after just 69 races. I say just because he's really put a lot of effort in to learning how to pavement race. His dirt track experience has allowed him to get a free feel in the car, but he knows on bigger tracks and on pavement tracks specifically, you scrub speed when you're not going the same direction. You're letting the rear slide out a bit. So for him to find the outside line, it perhaps is now a time to search elsewhere on the track, likely not coming to pit road again. So now he's going to have to fight through and find a different line to make that car handle the way he wants to, as Riley Herbst is now pulled away by 0.2 of a second that lap.
The top 2 separated just by about almost in a second and a half. but the 23 in second has a large gap between he and the third place running Michael Self by almost 7 seconds. Take a look at this gap. It's gigantic back to the Sinclair 25 of Michael Self. And remember, we always say they find each other on the racetrack. Well, they're not next to each other, but they're running in order. Second and third, Self the point leader, and Brett Holmes only 7 markers back coming into this one.
That's 7 positions on the track. Again, you get a point to lead a lap, a point to win the general tire pole when there's qualifying, and also extra points to win a race. So in terms of leading the most laps, that's one other point. Very few bonus points now available, and it's 1-point system for the first time in the ARCA Menards Series, like the NASCAR National Series. So this is Self saying, I need to get more points. I need to gain a point. He lost 2 points over 2 races at Toledo Speedway last weekend. So this is a tough situation to be in for Brett Holmes and Michael Self. They can't take chances now. So Brett Holmes is going to race to second. That may be as important as the victory here. Don't push it. Don't find the fence, because that's going to cost him a ton more points if Michael Self finishes where he's running right now and Brett crashes out.
Drew Dollar with that General Tire onboard camera. Great vantage point. You could barely see Michael Self out in front of him. He's pretty far back, almost 5 seconds behind the third place running Michael Self.
So we rode along with Haley Deegan earlier and how we heard her car perform, but this is later in the run. This is what this, to run out this race with 10 laps to go. We've got a lot of wear on these General Tires at these high speeds. I wouldn't mind just kind of riding with Drew here to figure out what he's doing in the corner. We heard Haley burp it in turn 1 and get back in the gas. We haven't seen that on really worn tires, and the 15 of Drew Dollar is doing really well. I mentioned his teammate Ryan Repko almost by accident. He's back in 7th, so Dollar's been able to perform and been able to respond to those changes to the car thus far.
Ask and you shall receive.
Can we?
Let's listen to Drew Dollar heading down into turn number 3 and see what he does there with the throttle and how he's attacking this racetrack. Never completely off the throttle, and even I think had to feather it just a little bit upon exit. Maybe that car just a little bit too tight for the Sunbelt Rentals number 15.
He's adapted well. He's won at Talladega, and I can tell that he's not feeling any sort of trepidation about going in that corner. You see him almost like go to the wall and say, can I trust it? Can I trust it? And he gets right back in the gas pedal for the entire corner. I love that. Now on board with Haley Deegan in the 4. She's running in the 6th position.
I was listening to how she lifted off the throttle. Let's see what she does down at turn number 3. She seems to just like get off of it and stab back on that gas. Here she is going into 3. It's almost like a little burp of the gas right there. She gets off, boom, and then boom, back on it once again. So depends on the handling characteristics of the race car. By the way, now under 10 to go.
And the rhythm that Drew had. I mean, you just sort of roll in, roll out of the gas. She popped all the way off the gas pedal and slammed it back down again with the right foot in that number 4 Monster Ford. She's consistent with her line, too. Excuse me. She's consistent with her line. We saw her in turns 1 and 2. The first time we took a peek in and listened, she's running that same line throughout here and maintaining that 6th position on the racetrack.
We mentioned Riley Herbst in that other monster car, leading this, looking for his first victory in more than 3 years. 4 second-place finishes over the course of the last 3 years. He's got a couple of thirds. He's been very strong. In fact, he was strong here just 2 years ago at Michigan when he finished in that runner-up spot. But today, trying to reverse that fortune, he's coming to the line. 5 laps to go for Riley Herbst.
And in Xfinity Series in Kentucky.
There is the 20 of Ryan Repko. He's in 7th. He's about 3 seconds behind Haley Deegan, who is running in the 6th spot. Unless there is a caution, and you never know. You were saying you were surprised. You expected more cautions in this final run of the race, and we haven't seen it just yet.
The reason for that is the experience level we saw coming into this race. We saw Self and Herbst and Brett Holmes. They got more than 10 starts on these tracks. They'll be able to walk away from this field. We see a lot of inexperience in this field. They're learning a bunch. And I think that at this point in the season, they're learning to respect the racetrack. We're learning to respect the competitor. We're not bumping and gouging on short tracks. When we go to Toledo Speedway, there was not a lot of bumping and running. There was some good, smooth, consistent racing. I take that back to the teams that prepare these cars, Venture Motorsports. DJ Crosley. Getting that education and that mindset. We're not here to bump and bang. We are here to learn and run fast. And if you're not damaged, you're probably going to win races. You're going to finish well. You're going to be able to perform at the highest level and not worry about how much laps you lost because you were a little aggressive too early in a race.
Wow, close call right there for Riley Herbst. Came up on that number 12 of Armani Williams, who rides it in 10th and went to the bottom side of the racetrack. Interesting, because sometimes you would think maybe a little bit more patience would certainly help out there, but 3 laps to go now, and Brett Holmes is not closing in. The lead for Herbst stands at 2 seconds.
Holmes changed his line to the bottom in turns 1 and 2, trying to get more speed where that car wants to run. Not able to close the gap thus far, but still can run this one out here as we're closing the final moments of this race. Holmes is in a good spot. We mentioned the difference. Not getting that clean air in the restart after Riley Herbst got that better run, and it's compounded over time. Herbst's car does not, Herbst's car is accelerating, and Holmes' car not up to snuff, and that could have been a quarter pound of air pressure adjustment 30 laps ago.
And I'm going to say this just to emphasize how good the top 2 cars are. Riley Herbst and Brett Holmes. Holmes now stands 10 seconds ahead of Michael Self in 3rd. That shows you how strong the top pair are here today.
We mentioned Brett Holmes' dominant run in Kansas, winning by 10 seconds. Riley Herbst finished 3rd that day. That put Mark McFarland in the position, hey, we're not good enough. We need to get better. And that team went to work. They have their own pull-down rig in their shop. No doubt they went through the resources of what they had available. Dave Rogers has been looking in on this team since Riley Herbst became a full-time member of the Joe Gibbs, Coy Gibbs racing operation. It's all been helping to get Riley to this point, getting more consistent and more victories.
White flag is out. He doesn't want to finish 2nd. Is he hearing things inside that race car, Jim?
He's got to be thinking, okay, what can go wrong? I've finished 2nd too many times. He was outrun on pit road by 1.4 seconds last year and losing at Pocono under green flag pit stops to Ty Majeski. Today, he got the run he wanted. He grabbed the lead in a muscle move on the outside and took the lead away from Brett Holmes, and he's led since.
Coming around to the front stretch here at Michigan. The super team is back. Joe Gibbs Racing scores its 4th victory of the year. Riley Herbst is 1st of 2020 and his 1st in 3 years. Big win in the Irish Hills of Michigan. That team has Herbst as their full-time driver before he started to go to the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series. Ty Gibbs came on board now, a part-time split duty for the 18 team between Riley Herbst and Ty Gibbs.
And they're building people around Riley. I saw a couple of crew members celebrating. They were in the garage yesterday at Road America with Riley Herbst and the Joe Gibbs Racing team. So they're keeping their band together wherever Riley goes, and now they're going to be celebrating with grand fashion after running two big races in back-to-back days here in the Upper Midwest.
He's got to have a big old smile on his face. He grew up around an off-road racing family, trying his hand at the stock car wars, and now doing donuts as a winner here at Michigan International Speedway. Second, no more for Riley Herbst. Back to victory lane he goes today at Michigan International Speedway. Second victory for Riley Herbst in the ARCA Menards Series comes today at Michigan International Speedway. He's climbed out that cockpit filled with smoke after some burnouts, Dave Reed.
Yeah, he needed to get out of there just to get away from that smoke. But when it's done in celebration, I heard you talk to your crew chief, making changes before that last race or during the race break. You simply said you didn't want to finish second again. You made the right move. So how many demons have you just exorcised off your shoulders?
Man, it's definitely been a while since I won, honestly, in anything. So when you don't win, it starts to get to your head, and you don't know if you're ever going to do it again. No matter what series, this ARCA Menards Series, Xfinity Series, or what. Obviously, it's more prestigious the way you go up, but winning feels good in any vehicle. And thanks to Monster Energy, Joe Gibbs Racing, and Toyota, we were able to pull it off here today in the Irish Hills.
I want to know how you did pull it off, because it looked like Brett was stalking you, and you were doing everything you could to change lines, move around, do this. How hard were you racing there with about 15 laps, 20 laps to go?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a late night last night coming from Road America. Had a few Monster Energies on the plane. Woke up early, got here, and man, Mark said, you want to make a big swing at it? And I said, sure, we got nothing for him right now. I don't want to finish second. My last Menards race. So we made a swing, and it paid off.
You said it like it was desperate, though. You did not refuse to finish in that position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations. Celebrate. A job well done. A busy weekend as Riley Herbst comes home in that Monster Energy car.
Busy weekend indeed. Up in Wisconsin yesterday, here in Michigan today, and the winner is Riley Herbst.
He ran a Trans Am TA2 race after that Xfinity Series race yesterday. He's got time to catch his breath now.
ARCA Menards Series is brought to you by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. General Tire, anywhere is possible.
And by
Lucas Oil, keep that engine alive.
Riley Herbst climbs out victorious today at Michigan International Speedway. He was excited, gets his second career ARCA win. Brett Holmes came up just a little bit short today, Dave Reef.
That's right, Bob. And if given a little time, I'm sure he'll realize the bigger picture is the war, and he did pretty good in the war, moving up another point. But it's the battle that really upsets you. Your car got tight once you got past.
Yeah, man, it's just really frustrating. You know, everybody's asking me if I'm all right after the race. I'm fine. I'm just really down. You know, we don't come to finish second anymore. We come to win, and it's just frustrating. You know, as much as we got to deal with, and yeah, I just felt like we were really equal there. And even through the race, you know, I think they made a couple adjustments to get a little bit better, but just got to second there, and we just stayed a little tight. And you know, just can't thank my guys enough, man. We're you know, fighting for wins now, and I'm happy about that. It's just hard not to hang your head about being second, and when you lead that many, but just got to keep moving on to the next one. And like you said, bigger picture is the championship, and we keep getting closer. So that's something to be happy about.
No doubt he'll replay that restart where he lost the lead for a few days, but then we'll get back at it when we get to Daytona here in a few days.
Thank you.
Bob, that's the first time we heard him say championship. He's in for the haul. This is awesome to see. Dissatisfaction, but also knowing that this team is there. He just wants that speed, and he wants another victory so bad.
Brett Holmes did not know if he was going to run the entire season when it began a few months ago. Riley Herbst, part-time competitor in Victory Lane at Michigan. And let's take a look at the Lucas Oil race recap of this 200-miler today. Riley Herbst and Brett Holmes, that was the story all day long.
They were the two heavyweights, and really Brett Holmes came right off the championship, getting the championship belt at Kansas to the same race car. We thought for sure he'd have something that they'd adjust, and they did not make the adjustment they wanted. We just heard from the race winner, Riley Herbst, about making the big swing and making it pay off for his second ARCA Menards Series victory.
The first win in 3 years for that driver, no matter where he was racing. Riley Herbst strong today. That Gibbs team strong everywhere it goes. Michael Self, third place here today, and he continues to be the point leader exiting the 11th race of the year. Self, another top 5. He's getting back on track. Let's go to Dave Reef standing by with Michael Self.
Cool drink of water, chance to collect his thoughts after a third-place finish, continuing a string of top 5s. Michael, tell me a little bit about your race today. Not able to kind of find the speed maybe that the 18 and the 23 showed, but convincing a solid finish once again.
Yeah, but it's frustrating, man. We had a terrible car the first run. When we fell back, we were way too tight. Just really bound up. And then the guys made awesome changes. I mean,
yeah, I heard the excitement from Kevin.
Yeah, man. I mean, really good changes. You know, we drove from 5th up to 3rd, whatever it was, in that second run, and I mean, scratching my head. Our Sinclair Oil Toyota was really solid from a handling standpoint. I mean, really free, rolling the center. I could run probably 10, 15 laps wide open. And we just get run away from by the 18 and the 23. I don't understand it. I feel like maybe we're struggling with drag. It kind of feels like we get halfway down the straightaway and the thing kind of throws out a parachute or stalls out, you know, and we're on our own, and, you know, that's where it looks like they gap us. It's just really, really puzzling. But look, our guys made awesome changes today. You know, we've struggled the last couple weeks from a balance standpoint. From a drivability standpoint today, our car was awesome. Something about this lower horsepower that we're not getting right or that we're struggling with. So, you know, we've got the smartest guys here at the track, Venturini Motorsports. Look, we finished 6th at Kansas, 3rd here. We're going the right direction. We'll get better.
And you're a road course racer, and we're going to Daytona next.
Look forward to that one.
9 races to get it figured out for the driver of 25. Michael Self finishes 3rd today, but he should be one of the heavy favorites when we get to Daytona International Speedway on the road course Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
We're going to see Ty Gibbs in action. We'll see Sam Mayer in action. Those guys got some road course time yesterday at Road America, and you never know who else is going to join the field. There is a rule, though. We aren't going to see NASCAR national drivers in the ARCA Menards Series race. The teams were told you must pick one series. So Sam Mayer had the choice of picking the Truck Series or ARCA at Daytona. He said, I want to go ARCA racing at Daytona this Friday.
Riley Herbst, you can see he's got a little pep back in his step. Back to victory lane. That means a lot, I'm sure, for that driver.
Just excited and satisfaction there as he's got a busy weekend. Finished out with this trophy and a big win here in the ARCA Menards Series. Congrats.
Michigan is downright fast. Trouble for Chris Wright in this one in the number 21 car. He took a big lick. There was the pass. Riley Herbst to the lead. So for Jim Trado, for Dave Reith, and everybody at Lucas Oil Production Studios, I'm Bob Dillner saying thanks for watching and congratulations to Riley Herbst.